While the scanners were going about their tasks, Tanaka looked up at the monitors. One of them showed a silhouette of a body. Her body, on the monitor, was inside several circles that were slowly moving up and down. That must be what's happening currently, Tanaka thought to herself. Another monitor had several words, such as strength, height, and other bodily stats. It truly gave an impression like it was a doctor's visit, where the doctor would determine the patient's weight, blood pressure, and other factors during a checkup. Tanaka looked over at what was happening to the others. Glancing to the left side of her, she could see that Ayaka, Mizuki, and Masao were already finished and were discussing something with their respective Darlina robots. Turning to look to her right, Kawa was patiently standing in the middle of the scanning device. Sensing that someone was looking at her, Kawa turned her head to see that Tanaka was checking on her. Pretty boring, huh? She grinned. The Darlina matched with Kawa said, "It won't be much longer. Due to the machine being so accurate, sufficient time is needed to process all the information." Kawa sighed at the robot's words, returning to look at the monitors. "So, what's after this?" Tanaka asked the Darlina in front of her. "You'll take part in a simulation," Darlina said, pointing to the area behind Tanaka. Tanaka turned in the direction that was being indicated, noticing a sturdy metal door similar to what was seen in the tunnels when entering the shelter. Returning to look at the robot, she asked, "What kind of simulation is it? Like, the kind that's done in the self-defense force?" Memories of using rifles that were fitted to use blank rounds came to mind, with her unit going through the training course. Darlina shook its head. "It's a little different than that. For one thing, there won't be any blank ammunitions being used, and the selection of weapons won't be limited to hot ones." "What do you mean?" Tanaka found the robot's words to be confusing. "If we aren't using blanks, then are we using live ones? Isn't that a bit dangerous?" She saw Ayaka and the others on the left side, heading to the doors. Each of the three younger adults entered through their own door. Laughing softly, Darlina said, "I think it'll be easier if you just experience it for yourself. I get the feeling that even if I were to explain to you, what I say would be pretty hard to swallow." The way the robot was talking, it was as if the robot were a parent talking to a child who lacked the necessary experience to understand the concepts. Grimacing, Tanaka didn't like the idea of being treated as some ignorant child. But she knew that it was pointless to try and force the issue. Just as Darlina had said, it would be easier to just experience the simulation. There was a small part of her that had the feeling that what was behind the door was far different than anything that she could imagine. The memory of driving out of the elevator and seeing a sight that could be confused with the outside world came to her mind. There was also the matter of the robots that were able to communicate with Tanaka and the others as though they were sentient beings. I have to remind myself that I'm in Star and Moon's domain now, where rationality sometimes takes a back seat, Tanaka thought to herself. Pulled out from her thoughts, Tanaka saw that the lights on the scanners were beginning to dim and the arms were returning to their resting positions. "I guess this part is done?" Tanaka asked the robot. Darlina nodded. "That's correct." Checking the monitors, Tanaka could see that there was a whole list of numbers and stats being made visible next to the digital model of herself. Glancing at the figures, she was surprised to notice her absorption rate stat